Welcome, everybody. It's your boy, the Versace Stoner. We're here with the last episode of the VSW podcast of the year. That's right. I mean, we made it to the end of the year. We talked a little bit on another episode about some of our favorite matches, favorite people, personas, managers, funniest, different things. We're going to talk a little bit more about that tonight as we bring Disabled Wolf on. And also just looking forward to what's in store for the end of the year. There is still some wrestling left. Festival, of course, is happening starting this Thursday at the White Eagle in Worcester, with Beyond Wrestling. And that will finish and conclude on January 1st with Limitless Wrestling. That's right. Limitless Wrestling will be coming to Worcester, Massachusetts, and that's what Festival is all about, bringing a bunch of different promotions together. You're going to have them. You're going to have the people from the H2O Center out in Jersey. It's going to be a great time. Let's give the Wolf a call and let's talk a little bit about it, shall we? See if we can get him on right now.
Disabled ear.
And here he is, folks. It is Disabled Wolf here with, again, the final episode of 2021 of the VSW podcast. Of course, we'll be back next year with all new content, brand new shows to cover, brand new fun and excitement. But, wrapping out this year, there's some things, there's some things that have been, stuck out in my mind for the whole year, of course. I would say, some of the feuds we've witnessed, some of the storylines that we've gotten ourselves into, and some of the characters we've met across the way. They've all kind of stood out in my mind. I know you've met a bunch of great people, Disabled, and you continue to do so.
Oh, absolutely, Versace. We met a lot, and we're really growing. I notice we've got a lot of exposure, but the New England Pro Wrestling Academy and Chaotic is the one that the Wolves really growing to and will benefit in the future, I believe, too. We met so many clowns, so many serious people of all types.
We met them all, and that's the wonderful thing. We brought in guests aboard. We even ran a show with some of these folks. And but we've been mostly what we do is we go show to show, promotion to promotion, and we cover it. We watch it. We film, a lot of highlights. We try to get those highlights up on YouTube, and so other people around the world can see it. And basically, we also enjoy ourselves. We interact with the superstars. We buy merch. We support our favorite local independent scene, of course. But that's what we do for the most part. We cover the shows. And let me ask you, if we had to pick one to say, Wolf, we went a long ways. We've been around the world. What's your favorite show we went to this year for the VSW podcast?
I'll say the favorite show both of us went to, I'd have to say it is probably the first and second Limitless show. I'd say the second Limitless show, especially AG's surprise and return. And there was some 5-star matches on that card too. Undeniable, I think it's called.
Yeah, yeah, undeniable. That was a great show, and there was that surprise. AG did come out. It was teased in the first show back, but instead we got prestigious coming out. If I had to pick one show, I'd have to say, and believe it or not, it's none of the local scene. I've enjoyed all the Limitless shows, NCW shows, Chaotic shows immensely. They've all been great, and Top Rope, they were good. We went to Proving Ground, they were great. I spent the day at the lab. I saw some good wrestling out there. But of all the shows, my favorite show has to be that Violence and Suffering show we went to. I
Wow.
was just really hot for the card. I know it was a long ride and we had a rough day, but I mean, my energy and my mind was still good for it. I really enjoyed the matches with the Cube. Someone that I don't get to see that very often. Yes, we saw him on
They
the
do,
road, but
but
not in
it's
person. We
like a
never see
horror
him.
movie.
Yeah, but we never see him in person. You know what I mean? So we saw them on the road. Um, and also, it's a brand that doesn't get out here that much that often. It's a West Coast brand. We also got to see Brian Cage wrestle. And that main event, I mean, Marshall Slamberg versus Anthony Green was
We saw
five.
Two Cold Scorpio and Willie Mack.
That too. And, these matches were both 5-star in my head. So, I mean, it was a great time overall. And, it kicked off that Jersey weekend where we went into Camp Leapfrog and had a good old time with Uncle Sidney Bacabella. And, we got to see Orange Cassidy and people tear it up on the IWTV 100. So, overall for me, that was probably my favorite show.
I love the IWTV 100.
That was another fun show too. Though every match was a superstar match. It was a lot of fun. It was very enjoyable. The only thing that wasn't enjoyable was the weather. It was very hot, and it was a hot location. But it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. We got to meet Orange Cassidy. He signed the figure. Which, if you
Exactly.
know anything about figures and signings, it's very hard to get these AEW guys signed right now.
Yeah, absolutely it is because most of their meet and greets, no personal items.
No, no personal items, and even if you can, it's no figures. I've noticed.
Yeah,
And that was one of our trial and tribulations this year, not only just with the car, but with the all out and the VIPs and the meet and greets and everything. With
hard.
we was one of our highlights of trying to do this year was to get our figure collection of AEW signed, and things just didn't work
But
out that way.
honestly, I'll just wait till AEW does a big Saturday show or pay per view in Boston and New York. Then
I don't know. I'm not really a fan of New York wrestling.
I'm just saying.
Maybe AEW would be different because and all
Yeah,
that, but I don't know. After going to that XPW show is a good show and all, but I mean, come on. The first, sign of blood, the commission stops the match.
that's fucking horrible,
It
dude.
is, especially when it's like a weapons match.
You
Someone's
know,
got to bleed, and these people are known for bleeding. That was probably one of my surprise shows that I really didn't ever thought I would be doing, and that was, that XPW show. Mashup hit me up. He was like, "Yo, XPW's coming back," and it took me a second, like, cause I forgot all about that. I watched it when I was, back in the day, but I forgot all about that. It took me for a second. I was like, "What do you mean coming back?" And I googled it and looked into it. I said, "No way, it's coming back. They're doing the dark side, this and that." The tickets were a little pricey, but we went for it and went for it all and went VIP, and it was nice. It was a nice show. It was a great indie show. Was it XPW like it used to be? Absolutely 100% not. Was it a great indie show? Yeah. It rivaled probably that 100, or maybe even better. Saw Brian Cage win the XPW world title. Saw all sorts of, great action. Willie Mack wrestled there as well. And other great superstars on the independent scene from around the country. I know you didn't make it to that show. You had to work, and there was a few shows that I didn't get to make too that you went to. You definitely got to a bunch of chaotic shows without me.
yeah,
There was also that other one you went
but
with Mike the Doorman.
yeah. Not gonna lie, I loved the chaotic show I went to. I would have loved it even more if you were there with me.
Well, yeah, I know it was just a uncertain, just the whole thing. This pandemic
Hey,
is getting a little
talk
out of control again, and
about
honestly,
our
you,
hometown.
that I can't wait for because it's gonna be close, and it's nice and close, and that's what I like about it. We can walk to it. It's not something I have to worry about a car. I have to worry about getting to. I have to worry about any of that. I can just get there. I can.
Point chaotic isn't in our area. They're in North where the majority of the traffic doesn't even go towards on a Friday night. compared to South Shore, western part of Mass.
Oh yes, I mean all the traffic at night's going south, but if you're traveling in the morning, it's all going north. And so I mean, yes, we get lucky with the North Shore shows. I feel a little bit with the traffic and being able to go to these things.
Hmm.
And like I said, we saw a lot of shows. We saw a lot of big feuds, big fights. We saw Love Dog versus Ava Ever. They went at each other's neck and
You
neck. We saw Davey and Becca.
they
They've been
have
fighting and feuding. We see MSP and the Workhorsemen. They've been
but we
feuding. We
yeah,
saw
but
Davey and her friends versus
John lead in the
Mac
first
Daniels and his friends. And John Alba. We saw that feud. We saw JT Dunn and the unit feuding with almost everyone. There's been
yeah
a
we
lot,
also
a lot of feuds this
saw
year.
Castro and Lumberjake.
You have that feud.
We had Tony Spencer in the crowd.
Well, yeah, I mean Tony Spencer's a feud within himself, and also you had that Tony Spencer kind of Dick Lane feud. That was pretty big. Yeah, you had feuds. You had Mike Montero and Dirt City feud. You had Mike Montero and AJP feud. That was another big one that happened multiple times. They fought multiple times. So I mean, we had a lot of feuds this year. What would you say would be the number one feud of the year?
For me, I'd say the number one feud. This is a really hard one to pick. It has to be a toss up between Ave Everett and Love Dug, or I'd say Chase Del Monte and the JT Dunn.
Sorry, I'm still smoking on that mortar. Funny you say that, but yes, it was a fine choices, Young Wolf. And I have to say, I have to agree. My choice is gonna be feud of the year. It's got to go to Ava Everett and Love Doug. These two have feuded immensely on the road and even more in person. Their hatred, their hatred and love for each other was just incredible.
Randy Carver even describes it as like a hell, hey Arnold Helga Pataki type romance of feud.
Oh, it was, but it was just great. And Ava Everett is just a great wrestler. And whatever role she happens to be in, she just pulls it off excellent. Right now in art and in this kind of role she's in, she's just dominating. And when she was feuding with Love Dog, she was in a very angry position in her life, very mad.
When we
And
saw her for the
that
pandemic, all happy all the time.
and that anger just shined through. After she attacked Davy and her best friend, and she just, that hatred just grew and grew, and you could just see it. And she hated Love Dog, and she aligned herself with the most sinister person that
Sharp
probably is in the independent scene right now, altogether. And that's Charles Mason. I mean, he's a heel of a different kind. He's not your comedic heel. He's not your heel to come out and kind of like make you kind of upset or mad or shit on your favorite sports team. He's here to make you really hurt, feel bad,
and the
depressed, me even.
hell out.
He's here to hurt your feelings. He's here to make kids cry. He's here to cause pain, suffering. And Ava aligned with that. And like I said, the storytelling was beautiful from beginning to end with Ava and Love, Doug, and I would have to go with that as the number one feud of the year.
I love that match when during the Euphoria show. That was one of my favorite matches. Love Doug finally got the spotlight and he got himself a big win.
And honestly though, I really liked his mirror match that he had on the road. Don't
Yeah,
forget when he first picked up a victory.
when Davey attacked Avery.
But that was the first time he found love on the road.
But Versace, we've come a long way this year, and I can't wait to really pay attention in the Star 22 when all the shows we go to. I'm gonna start documenting everything down. what was the best part, what was the worst part, the funniest part, so we can have a really, really good awards presentation at end of this time
Yeah, we're
next.
gonna start to do things a little bit different on our recaps. Instead of just talking the matches like we normally do and discuss them, we're gonna start to actually rate each match on a 1 to 5 basis. 5 being the best, 1 being the worst. We're gonna talk about who we think really shined in the show and who we think might need improvement in the show. And we're going to kind of start to keep notes and keep track and keep a little point system because at the end of the year we are going to do awards, and it's going to matter at this point next year. There will be physical awards being handed out by the VSW to wrestlers and promoters and other people that are in this business.
Because don't to everyone's listening, getting nervous and stuff. Don't be. We're not Dave Meltzer. We're not trying to be negative. We just want people to improve. We want the indie scene to be the best it can be.
Well, that's the thing. It's going to be the same VSW. We're not changing the way that we discuss wrestling. But as we know, there's always going to be, not everybody can be the best of the best, and there's not always, we're going to talk about that. We're going to get into that a little bit more. We're going to talk about what we think a little bit more, and, you know, and it is for the better of the talent, better for the, industry. It's going to be constructive, criticism at times, yes, but it won't be negativity.
But here's the thing, we really need it for, especially if we go to our non-core three shows. Our core three, obviously, Chaotic, Limitless, and NCW. For our non-core three shows, most of them are going to be lower tier than the shows we will try to cover consistently. And they're the ones that need it because nothing against any of their promotions, but we got to make it so everyone can shine, not just play with their friends or just I'll never get anywhere, but I'm happy as long as I get to wrestle all my friends. Like not just a KPW thing. It's feel like it's kind of like two types of cliques in New England: the higher like promotions and the guys that just wrestle with their friends. You know
No, I get you. I get you. You
that way
know,
over people realize, oh, holy cow! I really want to give Mike Montero another chance. He had a 5-star match with Kellen Thomas in Proving Ground. Let's just say I'm just making this up, you know.
yeah.
That way we can make everyone evaluated so guys have more opportunities.
No, of course. I agree with you 100% as I hold on this one. I really do. And I think it's gonna also just give another layer of depth into what we do at a show and why we do what we do.
Really, really want us to be at their show, you know?
Exactly.
But that's a phenomenal idea, Versace. Like, I think the Chaotic show in our Watertown is going to be our first new recap style, you know?
It will be. It will be a new style, and it's kind of funny. It's gonna be the first show under the new ownership of Chaotic Wrestling.
And the color scheme purple, just like a Fiesta.
It is. It's very similar, and I haven't got to really talk to the new owners in depth too much. I did give a congratulations out and asked if they needed any help, and if they are listening, they know how to reach me or you. There's multiple social media channels you can get a hold of me on,
Yeah,
and I'm always willing to help, just like I helped the previous owner. And like I said, it is our hometown. I know where to put up posters and stuff.
exactly. If they respond to us, then I can post on my very social media and really get people to want to come, you know?
Oh yeah, there was so many people on that, after that last show and people that heard our recap that, they were like, when's this next chaotic show? When's this next chaotic show? What is
Well,
this chaotic? Some of them was like, what is this chaotic?
both
Other people was like, when is it? Don't
when they
forget, we got one of our, diehard WWE fans, Mike Panchu, to come to this thing. I
yeah,
believe no, it was his first indie wrestling show. It
And there's
was.
there's so many people that haven't watched W in years, and our last fans that went to my reunion. Here's the thing. Here's what's helping you guys grow. Is when I do a wolf cast, that's what gets people like townies, people I've known from my whole life that don't watch wrestling or stopped watching wrestling to listen to my wolf. And when they see it, they can't resist when you check our YouTube channel. There's all these shorts, and a lot of it has to do with Limitless. But a lot of it at the time had to do with the chaotic show in Watertown, and people were so fascinated that they couldn't wait.
Oh yeah, and it's always great. I mean, I love getting fans, into new shows. Like I said, we got
Stop branch out of my show, Versace.
you. You were the first one to branch out. You were a diehard at one point WWE fan, and like I said, our friend Mike Panchu, diehard WWE fan, and we got him finally to go to an indie show. I mean, it took us a while. We were trying to get him to go to Maine. We were trying to get him to go, other chaotic shows, top rope, anywhere we could go. I think I even invited him to Reunion Wrestling and Proving Ground. And where he ended up going for the first time was that chaotic show, and he loved it. He loved it. And he knows people now like Becca,
And
you know,
Anthony,
and Anthony Green. And this well, while he might not be a diehard like we are, it's in his head. And when it comes back to Watertown, he probably will come. It's his hometown too. And this is what it's all about. This is what we're trying to do. We're trying to get people back into wrestling. We're trying to get people into that aren't into the independent scene into it, and a lot of people that aren't into wrestling anymore back into wrestling, because a lot of people, let's face it, got turned off after the era ended. You had the ruthless aggression era. That went very good. I feel. A lot of superstars were born. A lot of people. Lesnar, Cena. Shawn Michaels redefined himself again.
yeah,
Triple H made more of a name. The Rock had some more legendary matches. Even Ric Flair came back into the mix of things.
Randy Orton.
Randy Orton was, born. Hogan came back and forth a little bit. You had other people. All sorts of stuff happened. I mean, was it the worst time in wrestling? Nope.
You
But,
had become a huge main event superstar too.
then you had some tragedy strike once again, unfortunately. And when things happen in an industry, it changes it. And, that whole Chris Benoit thing really changed the industry. Changed how wrestlers wrestled. It changed how wrestling was even presented. It changed for everything. Everything went back to like a very standard way of doing things, and I don't know. I think it turned off a lot of people. A lot of people just like no. And you had these superstars coming up, like Roman Reigns and superheroes, and
You had
all of this. And I think people were like, this is
you
where it's
had
time to turn it off. This is where it's done.
People's Edge. Like when I was managing the sports teams when I was in high school, Versace. When everyone I know really stopped watching it, when Undertaker, Kane, Shawn Michaels, Edge either retired or stopped wrestling full time. That's when people really started to stop watching.
Well, yeah. I mean, these are the people we grew up with, and it's hard to even get old WWE fans that watch WWE now because they don't know the names, and when they do see what happens, it's just silly to them. It's obviously it doesn't have the same ferocity that it used to have in the Attitude Era. It definitely doesn't have the same aggression it had in the Ruthless Aggression Era. WWE is
But
totally different now. It's much more sports orientated. I feel. I believe it's much more sports entertainment than wrestling. They're more athletic than ever, and they keep restructuring the way they do things. As you can see, they restructured all of NXT.
and that was the one bright spots to me was before AEW came around when NXT was its own thing. You could watch it like a Disney Plus or a Netflix service. It was 1 hour a week. You could watch it anytime you want.
Oh, it was wonderful. It was wonderful. And I don't know, but For whatever reason, they decided to restructure that 205 Live and a few other things, and they want to get rid of and do away with the independent scene. Get rid of the kind of the independent wrestlers that they brought in from all over. And we saw that. We saw New England people come and go. And we're seeing them kind of come back now, a lot of them too. And with that, WWE is in another transition point. It's like it's transitioned all them times. Rock and roll era, new generation, attitude, ruthless aggression, PG, kind of the realism era. They're changing once again. And will it be for the better? Who knows? They're kind of at a point that no matter what they do, they're always going to have fans they're always going to have people that hate. You're always gonna get new fans, people that don't know the history in the past, that are gonna be like, "This is great. This is amazing. I love this. This isn't your independent crap. This is real deal Holyfield wrestling." Then you're gonna have people that grew up watching WWE. They're gonna be like, "What the hell happened?"
That's how I feel every day, and it's kind of like being a Detroit Lions fan or whatever. That's how I feel about being a WWE fan. You keep hoping it's gonna get better to what it could be, and it just doesn't. It always finds a way to be a bad team.
No, I know, and it's kind of just it's kind of crazy how much it has really declined. And how little excitement, before I used to be so excited for this stuff. Now I could care less. Royal Rumble's coming up. I don't even know who's in it. If this was 1990, I would have been all over this. 91, 92, 93, 90.
Oh,
The
another
list goes on. Same thing with, Attitude Era Styles. Seeing these people, there's nobody on this roster that really draws me into it. There's nobody on this roster that really screams at me and says, hey,
even the woman who I really loved watching, Becky Lynch and Charlotte, even they're stale.
they are, and they've dropped the ball with so many women in there. It's not even funny. Starting, I feel with Oscar, moving on to people like Lacey Evans. They dropped the ball with her, and Shayna Baszler, and the list goes on and on and on.
Yeah,
Um, WWE drops the ball. They're a company like anybody else, but they're a human company. They make error, they make mistakes. I feel like they've been making a lot because they try to play a game. The game is with them. They want to be the number one. So, at all costs, they go out and do their shows. Then they sacrifice one of their brands. I feel they sacrifice NXT to kind of beat AEW, and it just didn't work. They put it right in the front lines. They put it right on TV. And NXT just wasn't that. It wasn't meant to be this main event show every single week. It had something about, it special with that 1 hour format, kind of
yeah.
hit or miss. You
Big
had a
four.
few showcase matches, you had a storylines, you had some promos, you had it building towards something, and it all built towards these big style, takeovers, and these things felt to me bigger than WrestleMania.
I used to get
These things were great. I used to love the Saturday night main event NXT shows even more than sometimes the Sunday pay per view to follow.
exactly. That was really great formula, and it was perfect.
We saw some unbelievable matches. Ciampa and Gargano, these classic story tales being told and just legends fighting each other. It was just amazing the way they did it. The grindiness. It
And
wasn't clean cut like WWE. It had that kind of gritty, indie kind of feel to it, but it also had this, this is grandiose kind of feel to it. It was very nice setup. I really liked it. I mean, of course they changed it. It's a whole different color scheme and everything now. I'm really not a big fan of it. It
Yeah,
is what it is. But that's WWE for you. They're always
and
changing, and there's gonna be a new era now of WWE, and who knows? Like I said, maybe it'll be better. Maybe more fans will go back to it. Maybe it'll be worse. Maybe more fans are gonna leave. I'm gonna be like, and in 10 years they're gonna be like, hey, you remember when Roman Reigns was champion? That was the best that wrestling's ever been. Um, you know, it can go in so many directions. We started here at the VSW covering it. We did. We were all for it. We covered WrestleMania. I
yeah,
even went to the damn show with Panchu and Ticketman Mike.
I know.
This year, and it was bad weather. It just pandemia. It wasn't the best for me, and honestly, I'm not a fan of a 2 day mania. I'm really actually highly against it. Imagine a 2 day Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's like I was so excited with for the Saturday show to watch it, but the Sunday show I was okay watching it in my freaking bed.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like 2 days is kind of like, eh. What are you doing here for 2 days to watch? And you have
I
to go. Like I said, you gotta make plans. You gotta and obviously you don't gotta pay for it if you have Peacock, but if you're having a party or sorts, that's 2 different days. You gotta have people together. It's not really, and one of the days is Saturday night. And first of all, the other thing is if you have to work weekends, it's very hard to get both days off. Never mind. Like I said again, it's the weekend, and it's a whole weekend. I get WrestleMania weekend what it's for again, but I think again it should go back. Give us that big, NXT pay per view Saturday night, and give us that WrestleMania on Sunday. Even with the even
always
with the 2 nights of WrestleMania, the matches still felt rushed and out of place and not right. And
exactly. Like I was fine. Yeah, I was tired, but watching these before the 2 days before the pandemic, I didn't mind it 5 to 6 hour mania. I'd rather do it at one and sacrifice being tired. Yeah, it's tiring, but
I mean, I don't know.
that's emotion waiting all day for it.
It is, and I think 2 days just kind of kills the vibe.
Yeah.
Doesn't make it as special.
Especially looking at the card this year, we thought day two was going to be way better than day one, but day two, they started off the match with The Fiend and Randy Orton, which should have been the second to last match of the night. And they botched that badly.
Well, yeah, unfortunately, Bray Wyatt was having issues and personal issues, so he was out, and they kind of just did a half-ass match, and I almost wish that they just changed the whole match, that the Fiend didn't come out at all. Um, that maybe he no-showed it, and she came out and did something, and I would have rather almost that happened than the match that we got. I feel like it was just a poor ending, a poor match, and it happened to be his last match there. It just, it was a very just situation for the Fiend, who was, in my opinion, WWE's best character
If
in the last who knows how since the Undertaker or
it
Mankind.
wasn't for The Fiend, I would have stopped watching it even years ago.
Oh yeah, if the Fiend hadn't come aboard, I don't think I would have tuned into Raw as much as I used to. That's what kept me on to Raw, and then when he moved to SmackDown, that's what kept me watching weekly television was what was going to happen with the Firefly Funhouse. When that went away, I kind of stopped tuning into weekly, to be honest with you, because it's I don't know, it just
I used to,
wasn't doing it for me.
even if I wasn't able to watch it on Monday, I used to always DVR in the past. Like, always found now I can care less. I barely know that it's on.
The only thing that I really do have to say that WWE did pretty good, or really good. We didn't get a lot this year, but they did do it in 2020. Was the Thunderdome.
Oh yeah.
I thought, you know, Thunderdome was a pretty cool idea. I got on it for SummerSlam in 2020. And I thought
And
that
just
I thought it was a good way for fans to interact, and if it has to go back, maybe it should go back that way.
they're better off because the Raw we went to in Boston, dude. It used to have a mix of families and hardcore diehard fans. You don't even see diehard fans come to the Garden anymore.
No, you know who I saw? Most of the front row was filled with New England promoters and other
Whatever.
wrestlers.
Yeah.
You didn't really see diehard fans. Boston's, it's going to be interesting to see what we draw for Survivor Series. I mean, that is something that probably the
And it's
VSW
you know
podcast.
what's weird about it? It's Saturday after Thanksgiving and not the Sunday before Thanksgiving.
You see, I still miss the Wednesday before Thanksgiving having a pay per view. That was the real deal. Okay, but I mean, I get it. People wanna can't do that, but yeah, I don't know why it's so late. And then for us to have it after Thanksgiving, I mean, it's kind of a Thanksgiving tradition. What's the point? And I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what we draw
Yeah, exactly.
as Survivor Series. Can be a great event. Granted, I didn't. Did you watch this year's?
No, I didn't, but 2 years ago was amazing when they brought NXT involved with Triple H's version of NXT. And I'm
That was
sad he
really
might not
good.
be able
That
to
was really
wrestle
good,
ever
and I
again.
think that was the last Survivor Series I really watched. I did watch last year's Survivor Series a little bit. I was sick with COVID, but I tuned into it because it was Undertaker. They did that whole ceremony.
Yeah, that was made me
But I
really sad.
actually didn't watch Survivor Series at all this year.
It's like, but they kept teasing Undertaker and Rock making an appearance, and they never did. That
Of
is so
course, and that is
stupid.
and that is that is WWE's MO. Let's gain old fans back, so let's tease
But they
people.
abused it the past
Let's
10 years,
tease.
dude.
They have. I mean, even on that
Since
first
I
Raw.
graduated high school, you had Raws that were fucking terrible, but you had Raws that were amazing.
Well, I mean, I'll be honest with you. That Raw that we went to this year wasn't actually that terrible. I mean,
Biggie
parts of
Cat,
it were very boring and slow, but others parts were great. It had a great ending, I thought. Big E
yeah,
finally winning the title.
Biggie.
And the thing is about Raw, in my opinion, is 3 hours is too freaking long. 2 hour format is great, even in
I
the
think
Attitude
2 hour
Era.
format and once every 6 weeks do a 3 hour show is perfect.
Do the Monday after Mania a 3 hour
And
show, or do
before
the Monday
Mania should
after
be.
any of the pay-per-views a 3 hour show, the big pay-per-views. The
Yeah, of
little ones
course.
don't need it. And to be honest with you, it worked better. And 2 hours back in the Attitude Era used to kill a 3 hour WCW sometimes. Why? Because it was quicker, it was more, it was better. The only reason why they went to 3 hours, they wanted the same airtime as WCW. And as soon as Vince won this war, he should have went back to a 2 hour
He did
format.
go to two. Most of the Ruthless Aggression era was 2 hours, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m.
Well, it was, and that was fine, 2 hours, and then all of a sudden you went to 3 hours with Raw, and it's just too much wrestling. 3 hours used to be what WrestleMania 1 through 15 was. The 3 hour shows, pay per views were 3 hours. Why do a weekly show 3 hours?
Exactly.
When I have to watch a Raw, I can't do it. When
Dude, we can barely watch 2 hour movies, never mind 3 hour Raws each week.
that's what I'm saying. Like, these Raws sometimes are so boring, so terrible.
Yeah, this is the reason why folks who really don't cover WWE because we can't really say anything great about it.
I can't anymore. I can't say it's this great promotion. It's just someplace I can't even say it's a great place to
It's
strive to
something
work
that you
for.
love so much for it to make you so depressed. It's not
I
worth
can't even tell people, hey, you should strive to work there. Yeah, it's everybody's childhood dream. You want to, work in the same rings that Bret Hart, defeated Shawn Michaels for the Shawn Michaels defeated Bret Hart, or vice versa. These big
Sean
feuds take place.
Stone Cold and The
Austin,
Rock.
you want to be part of all that heritage and history. I get that, and that's what WWE is great for, the heritage and history. But I see so many people go there and they're like, and then miserable, and then they leave, and you know, um, but you have alternatives now. You have alternate companies. You have AEW.
Dude, if it wasn't for AEW, I hate to say it, the WrestleMania I went to before, right when you couldn't go because I know you were having your kid, was WrestleMania in 35. That was gonna be my last hurrah with wrestling.
Yep.
And then slow, how ironic! I go to my first Mania, slow. It starts a 3-year decline to this day. It got worse and worse and worse.
Well, I mean that mania that you went to, in my opinion, was like the next downfall of WWE.
It,
It started off with such hype going into that, and everybody was so pumped for these people like Seth
this
Rollins,
women's main event, and
Becky
they gave Kofi
Lynch,
in the moment.
and you had these great things, and it opened up as a very obviously kind of a short match, but Seth Rollins captured the title, beating
And
Brock
Undertaker wasn't
Lesnar.
advertised as he making a surprise appearance. And you didn't even need Undertaker, but Undertaker showed up the Raw after.
You didn't need him. You had Becky win, becoming Becky
You
Two
had John
Belts.
Cena return as the Ruthless Aggression Cena, the Doctor of Thugonomics.
You had a lot of okay parts,
Mhm.
and then after that, everybody kind of was like, "Fuck it." People started hating the fact that Seth was champion. People
Oh,
started,
I know.
just really he wasn't the people's champion. They didn't like it at all. He became, I don't know what happened, but a lot of the times babyface champion, you run with it, they sell, they draw. Seth was not drawing, and it just wasn't happening. And then I don't know why they decided to go with this decision, but almost right off the bat, they took the other belt off Becky, so it was Becky obviously no longer two belts. Went right down to Becky one belt.
Becky was
This
phenomenal
was
during.
another weird decision I felt by WWE. Why would you do that? And it kind of made the downfall of her. People were kind of like against Becky. Now she had a baby at the time and kind of took the time off, so it worked in her favor. And I think she was kind of like the only one that kind of came out okay after all that. But Seth had to change his whole gimmick up to get over again, and that was to go heel.
Uh, yeah.
And the steam for WWE kind of went downhill, and the Raw started to get worse. The feud started to get worse.
Oh, I
Things
know.
started to not make sense.
And you had that stupid 24/7 championship, which is like a PG hardcore title.
You had that, which it is, and
The
it
only
just
then it became the best part with freaking our Truth and Drake Maverick.
well, it became comedy, and and I would go back to another term that I like to that people like to say. That wasn't a hardcore title. That was a comedy core title, and it was for comedy purposes.
It had
People.
a Vince put a bunch of ECW guys when they acquired it, and WCW guys to chase after that hardcore championship.
It was it was rather ridiculous. Kind of just what they did with it, and you had people I mean, you even had, you had celebrities winning this thing. You had R2 the running backstage for it.
Yeah,
It was
Drake
it was
never
a
getting the
joke.
press when he
It was a
doesn't have.
fun little joke to keep people in the promotion for the sake of, hey, you could win a title. It reminds me of kind of like the KPW guys. You put them together. Hey, you guys can win a title, just don't go anywhere, and they'll all gather around and chase that title, and that's what they did.
Uh-huh.
And I think that was kind of a downfall. The other thing that was a downfall with WWE was their tag division. Their tag divisions just kind of got left behind.
But the bright spot about the tag division, believe it or not, is the New Day made a huge impact to being one of the best tag teams of all time, believe it or not.
They did, but I mean, it's a trio slash tag team, yes, but as a tag team division as a whole, a lot of the tag teams that were what WWE was about is gone. And they're all
Oh, yeah.
makeshift tag teams. They're all people thrown together tag teams.
And
You
the
have
real
things like,
tag teams they had called up from NXT, even if they do have the tag belts, they lose some momentum.
well, I mean, you had great tag teams. You had War Machine. Look what
Vikings.
they look what they did with them. They made them into the Vikings. They changed everything up. They made them less. They took away everything that was there. Getting them over, and I mean, it
Same
just
as the
didn't work.
Street Profits.
You had the Street Profits. I don't even know what happened to them. You know, the now FTR. They bought. I don't know what they were doing with them. More comedy core.
Same as you have the Usos just handing Roman Reigns shit now.
You know, Hardy's was smart. One of them was smart to get out of there, and the other one, I guess, got fired. Somebody's. I was reading that he
I'm
might have.
praying for Jeff to go to AEW just so
Somebody
they.
was saying that Jeff blew the test on purpose just so he could get fired. I don't know.
Mhm.
You're never gonna find out the truth. But you know, they're another great tag team. But where are the tag teams in the wrestling industry? Well, I mean, yes, the mainstream ones are on television, AEW. A lot of
You
great tag teams, but where else are we seeing tag teams? In the independent scene, and
have
it's flourishing greatly, immensely. And you have tag teams like MSP.
the
You
main
have
event becoming one of my favorite tag teams.
you have the
Waves and curls.
Workhorsemen. You have Shook Crew. You have um the competition. You have all these tag teams over this year that have really shined through, proved themselves. Waves and Curls. The Dirt City Murder Crew. Even with all their trials and
Hispanic
tribulation, they can do a
mechanics.
great tag team match. You have classic people like that came back this year that hadn't wrestled together in a tag in a while, and that was, the Middlesex Express. They fell a little short to, the Hispanic Mechanics, another tag team thriving right now and proving ground, but, you know, they gave it their all. And, even Proving Ground put on a tag team tournament this year. Tag teams are a big part. I'm a big tag team wrestling fan. And, I like quality tag team matches. Who would you say was the number one tag team of the year this year?
For anything or the independent scene.
For what we cover, all the shows we go to.
I'd have to say the main event.
Yeah. Yeah, Main Event is a great tag team. Ringleader Midas, Jay Lyons, these two kill it. We've seen them in Limitless. We saw them at camp. Now they're kind of in
Chaotic
the
we saw him.
in Calico. They're in the trios now,
Circus Ninjas with Nolo
and
Catino. He's awesome too.
it's great. It's great. If I had to pick a tag team to say that would be this year's tag team, I'm gonna go with MSP, and I'm gonna go with them for
Great
multiple
choice.
reasons. I'm gonna go with them for multiple reasons. Yes, they've lost the big match that was counting for all the marbles against Daniel Garcia and Kevin Blackwood, and all they had to do was win that match, and there would have been some limitless tag straps being, issued out somewhere down the line. But MSP did do something big this year after that tough trios loss with Alexander Lee. They changed. They changed themselves. They redefined themselves, and
They get really good bookings too.
they're much more happier as people. They're much more happier as wrestlers. They come out. They're the vibe, man. They're the party. They're the party of this show. And you can tell. The crowd is into it. There was that vibe challenge that was doing, on TikTok and social media. A lot of fun. You can see mine on YouTube and TikTok. And the fans get into it. And, they're a great tag team. They have the chemistry. They always have. They've had it for a while. And now, they got a different kind of, vibe to them. It is, it's kind of refreshing in a lot of ways because it is something old repackaged, but it's also something very new.
Absolutely, they come a long way too. They're becoming one of the faces of the tag division.
They have,
I
I
really want
remember first. I remember first seeing them. The first time I've seen
NCW
MSP was NCW, that show we
with
went to.
Alexander Lee,
Yeah,
Napui.
Alexander Lee was there, and that was the first show. That we met a lot of these guys for the first time. We met MSP. We met Anthony Green and Ava Everett. We met Perry Von Vicious.
We met
Back then Perry was a heel. He wore a money suit. Wasn't the nicest of people. Today he's one of the friendly faces you can find at NCW and Limitless Wrestling.
and
Even if
he
he's not
loves
wrestling,
Disney
he's there
as any.
helping out. He's there supporting his friends. He's there supporting.
Absolutely.
And that's great to see when you see other wrestlers supporting other wrestlers because it's not always just about, themselves.
Uh, yeah,
And like
yeah.
I said, this year's just been a crazy year. We've come such a long way so far. We've really, skyrocketed. Talk about things going to the moon. Look at the jumps. Things like Dogecoin. Well, if we were like a Dogecoin or some kind of coin, we would have, our it would have been exponential gain. You would have invested it for a very small amount, and now it would be worth something decent. I mean, look at our YouTube. Look how far we've come with that. Look at how much work we put into that to get it to where it is today. But we have a nice subscriber count. We have a nice view count, and it's continuing to grow. And we continue to grow an audience, and I couldn't be ever more grateful for that audience.
I am back, Versace.
Where'd you go?
Hmm. Just got a little sidetracked,
Oh
like I
well,
did cruising for a bruising.
it happens. I was talking any which way, so it really doesn't matter. But like I said, this has been a wild year, and like I said, if we were a coin and you purchased us in the beginning of the year, it'd be very cheap, and now it'd be worth a lot of money.
Hmm.
And, and it's gonna continue to do that.
That's how I'm looking at all the promotions and wrestlers we cover.
And it's gonna be no different next year as we continue to shoot towards the stars. Um, like I said, in adding in, a little bit more. I don't know. I don't know really what the word is, but I mean more detail,
Structure.
yes, but more precision, more kind of statistics, I guess. I don't know, something just more sportsman kind of covering of the shows. I think it's gonna, change the dynamics of VSW a little bit.
We're trying not just only to help us, we're trying to help you guys in the industry too. So don't
Exactly,
forget.
and with these recaps, like I said, it's gonna help a lot of people.
This year was more of like an experimental year for us, you know?
It was. We did a
Works.
lot of different things that we wouldn't have
Like, I
normally
didn't
done.
take a lot of film the beginning because I didn't know much. I was actually keeping track of notes, but I realized I can do both. I can just film shorts, and when I get home, I can rewatch them before we do our recaps. Like,
Yeah, I mean, if you're getting the right stuff on on the clips, then you recapped your own show through video clips, and it's gonna go from there.
we came a long way. You had to carry these podcasts when we were in your car in the old days, you know?
Oh yeah, for sure. And you've gotten much better on the mic. You're much more comfortable now. You're much more, know what you want to do in the industry and kind of what direction you want to take. And like I said, you become more of a fan of the independent scene. Now you know what everything is. Now you're engaged on the Twitter and in Facebook. Before, you like I said, you really didn't know the players too well. You knew some of them, but you didn't know a lot of them, and your mind was still mostly in WWE. And
Exactly.
once that kind of went away, that WWE mindset from clouding all of it, you kind of went full steam ahead towards the independence, and you've been yourself a much more happier person. You don't have that toxicity that dealing with the WWE fan base and the AEW fan base and the fighting and just all the negativity when you don't deal with when you don't go to them. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't have that in the independent scene.
No, no. And if
You
you
know,
do have it, it's just fighting. It's all in fun, you know?
for the most part. I mean, yes, you have your issues and you had you speaking out and you had all this other stuff that happened. And you have incidents like that happen with us and, the dick joke and the freaking, the lab canceling us out and all that shit. But I mean, for the most part, the indie scene is very, 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 simple and not so toxic. Like I said, you can get in there, you can enjoy a conversation with a fan. You don't have to fight with them. You don't have to there doesn't have to be a fight over your favorite wrestler. I've seen people fight over their favorite wrestlers and people criticizing others for liking them and all sorts of nonsense I've seen on WWE Twitter that takes place. You've witnessed some of it too.
Oh, big time, dude. Again, the latest toxicity has to do with not just the WWE fans. Maybe they were part of it, but like I was telling you about the Sammy Guevara, Tay Conti stuff. Like, come on.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's just crazy, and none of it has to do with the sport. But the independent seems a little bit different, and yeah, I mean, like I said, we have our drama and our issues, but for the most part, it is, for the most part, it is, a pretty clean environment at times, and the promotions that we cover, we always have a good time at. We haven't really heard any issues. I never really hear any issues out of NCW or Limitless. They run clean shows. Randy Garber runs a very decent show.
And
Same thing with like Proving Ground. Todd runs a very clean show. These people are, good people in the industry. And it's gonna be it's gonna be interesting to see what happens in 2022 because there's obviously a lot promised to us already. Proving Ground's talking to Rumble. Chaotic's coming to our hometown. NCW will be returning. You're gonna have all this. Limitless is coming back with Let's Wrestle, and as I can see, it's gonna be in their Herman, Maine location, I believe.
I think so.
I just saw Slade being announced for Yarmouth, which is amazing.
Ooh.
We always like to see Slade, and a lot's gonna be happening up north. You still got Alec Price, the reigning Limitless champion. He's gonna have some great matches this year. Something to look forward to. Beyond launching another promotion, something similar to Let's Wrestle, in my opinion. Something like the Underbelly, and they will be running that. Coinciding with their regular Beyond Wrestling. down at the White Eagle. You're gonna have that going on. You're gonna have all sorts of stuff that's happening. And speaking of Beyond Wrestling, you know, we do got Restival this week,
I
kicking
know.
off kicking off Thursday night is going to be Beyond's final show of the year, and it's going to lead into a bunch of other shows. You're going to have H2O Center, a few other guys. You have, and then closing out will be
No
one of our favorite promotions, Limitless Wrestling.
no matter what happens with everything going on, I'm definitely going to watch as much of it as possible for sure. Not sure if I'll be able to get there, but if not, there's definitely a lot of wrestling that we're definitely going to attend next year in our area. But at least we can watch it live.
No, we can, and
Ooh,
it's going to be an interesting it's going to be an interesting kind of thing because it's the first time that we've seen all of this together. We've seen actually promotions working together most of the time. We see them, running against each other. This time it's really cool. Promotions are working together. They're going to put on a great show. Am I crazy about the timing? No. I'm not crazy about the timing at all. Okay.
that's another thing I want to get to you about is that I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people that are advertised for big matches can't perform.
Well, that's the thing. There's two things going on. A, the timing of New Year's itself. It's a family orientated kind of time. It's very hard for me to get away in family time.
How it is for me too, dude. And
And
the
then
thing
you
is,
got you
they
got
did this. They should be doing this. I'm not trying to criticize it. Kind of makes sense since the Christmas New Year's is the Friday to Saturday. But you telling me you're gonna try and do this every year if New Year's Day's on a Tuesday and you're gonna have it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday? Like, come on.
no. I mean, first of all, I mean it's only working like this because it's kind of on the weekend deal. Um,
Yeah,
it actually should have went from Friday to Sunday, in my opinion.
yeah. And I think if they should, speaking of that, Versace, I think they should do it in the summertime when you can do indoors and outdoors and the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, so people can take the Monday off of work or whatever.
Well, yeah.
That'd be perfect when it's nice weather. I do
Oh,
think the
and
idea,
I mean, and that's the thing, the weather and everything, and then you have, of course, the recurring theme of that's been everywhere is just, the pandemic, and a lot of people are getting sick again,
a lot of people I know,
regardless of their status, regardless of how many vaccines they even have,
yeah,
people are getting sick again,
exactly.
and there's nothing much you can do about that. And but it does change what goes on. You can see it in WWE. People are getting sick. That's gonna affect things.
Like all their main eventers got sick. Some of them even have COVID. Look at that house show in MSG. They had to rearrange the card.
Oh yeah, and I mean and then look what you got have going on in the NBA.
And don't forget the Celtics are playing a lot of their guys are on COVID, and Jason Tatum just got on. And the Bruins had to cancel a lot of their games, and it got to a point where the NHL had to cancel all their season because they represent two countries. Problem is, the wrestlers don't have to worry about this maybe Jody threat because a lot of people around here won't be trying to go to Canada. If they do, they just won't. They just had to cancel. Like I know Rip Bison couldn't go to Nova Scotia and Perry that because of the restrictions coming back in Canada. Here's the thing with the NHL. Say if the Bruins play the Canadians, let's say a player like Charlie McAvoy has COVID, right?
Yeah.
And he has no symptoms. You're stuck for 14 days in Canada in your hotel. And the NHL has canceled it, has suspended their season, not suspended, but postponed their season. They delayed their season. Like usually they take a 3 day Christmas break, the 24th and 25th or 23rd off, but they decided to extend it till at least Wednesday.
Really.
Yeah, and you got it running wild in the NFL right now too.
So I mean, I don't know. I mean, like the responsible thing would be to maybe maybe put a little bit of this on sidetrack. I don't
Yeah.
know. It doesn't seem like things are going in a great direction, regardless of it being less
And it
severe,
obviously
more
affects
well, regardless
wrestling.
of it being less severe, more severe, being whatever that might be. Nobody wants to get sick. Nobody wants to have to quarantine. I know somebody that's sick right now with it that is
Me
sitting
too.
home. They can't do nothing. I know a bunch of people actually that are sick right now. They're sitting
I
home, can't
know.
do anything.
Stu, like, tell me about it. Like, there were times I almost got exposed, but I didn't. We're gonna know. Everyone's gonna know whether it's the wrestlers or us. Everyone's gonna know. A lot more people this time getting exposed to it compared to one set of group a year ago. Yeah, COVID was really bad like 2 years ago, but got exposed. It was only a certain group.
Well, that's the thing, and even I dealt with it, and when I went to the laboratory show, Wrestlers Laboratory, there was an outbreak there. We were notified privately that we might have come in contact with someone that had it. They didn't tell us who. We could see whoever posted though. They announced themselves who was sick. And we kind of just all self tested and just did the responsible thing and went from there.
You can't really legally disclose if someone you work with or
No,
something.
you can't go through the HIPAA laws, but the wrestlers themselves and the workers themselves can mention it. But from then it goes into more now. Now it's not it might be not 3 people getting sick. It might be 50 people getting sick. Is it worth to run these shows if that's the case?
Exactly.
Um,
Well, chaotic in Watertown, I'm not that worried about because it's a big. Sons of Italy was a bigger venue. The way they set up in chaotic is that, and you have to wear a mask in Watertown, so I'm not too worried about that.
well, yeah, it is Watertown.
But I'm worried about the White Eagle setting, though.
Yeah,
But you get what I'm saying when you got a bunch of people standing together.
it's very close together. It's very confined space. And the thing about the chaotic scene, we we well, we live in this town, so the exposure. Well, yeah, we can be exposed, but we do wear masks in this town. We do that. So it's as safe as it's gonna be going to the grocery store. Honestly, there won't be much more difference in safety protocol.
Yeah.
With that being said, though, like I said, what goes on from here? Do things start to scale back? Do we go back to tape settings? Do we go back to less fans? Are we going, and or are people just gonna stop caring about all that
There are a
and just
lot of
kind of go
people
through it like you do with the
that,
flu? The flu, people
that
get sick every year, and then they just keep doing it.
there are people speculating around like here with the cases that they're not going to close like restaurants and all that. They might scale things like at the Garden for Bruins and Celtics games, or maybe obviously indie wrestling. But there are a lot of people that might after New Year's say, "I'm going to go out. The weather's getting colder. I'm going to go out a lot less, and then wait till the spring." I think a lot of people are going to voluntarily do it this time around.
Well, yeah, but they will. But that's the spring. Hopefully by then will it be controlled. This variant seems like to be more transmissible very easily, but less severe. But it can still overwhelm the hospital
It's
system. So if
evened
we get
out.
a
Yeah.
more severe strain of this thing, it becomes more of an issue.
Hard
Um,
to say whether this. variant is better or worse, because yeah, it's less bad than the one you've gotten and I've gotten last year, but at the same time, it's easier to spread it, spread some more people.
And just statistically, if 1 in 100, let's just say 1 in 100 got very
My
sick.
thing is, I don't care personally if I get sick. It's just with the way this is spreading, I just don't want to be the guy to get a bunch of wrestlers sick.
Well, yeah, I mean, it can be anybody, slapping hands at a show. Especially in shows, we go up to Maine, there's no mask mandate in Maine either.
Yeah, that's funny. I don't think I've heard of people getting sick in Maine, though. That's
No,
weird.
the caseload is very low in Maine, so I mean, it's a lot different than here in Mass.
Because Maine, they're all like spread out when they're not at like the
They do
Amvet.
wear it though when I go to the dispensaries, they're wearing masks.
Yeah, I'm just saying they're like in a rural area.
They are,
Where
they are, but
out.
it's still, there's still COVID.
Mm-hmm.
COVID still exists.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's gonna be an interesting year of what takes place here, and you know,
Could we go to so many shows, or are we barely gonna go to shows? That's the real question about 2022.
I don't know. I can't
I can't.
honestly. Anything can happen.
You know what I'm trying to say.
Oh, I am.
Obviously, our choice of not going to a lot of shows, but
I'm gonna be right back though. Why don't you tell them about what you think's gonna happen with sports and how that's gonna how is this gonna impact sports, and if it continues to go on its impact, how will this what will this do for the NBA season, NHL season, and so forth and so on, and how would Super Bowl be impacted?
absolutely, Versace. You go take a break on your medical kit, my friend, and I'll take it for here. Let's talk about the future of near future of sports. You got the NHL hasn't gotten back yet. They kept delaying it day by day of when they return to play. You got the Bruins that were behind in games to begin with. It had nothing to do with COVID, just the way the schedules worked. And you have the NHL not send their players to Beijing for the Winter Olympics because not just because of China, it's because they have a lot of games to make up with everyone getting COVID. And NBA and the NFL, their players union wants people to be tested way less. And you got a lot of Celtics players on the COVID list. They've been losing a lot of games because they don't have depth. And you have the NFL players. Adam Schefter said today that there was over 400 people tested positive in the past 2 weeks. That was more than everyone last year from the start of week one of last year. They did no preseason last year because of COVID to the Super Bowl last year. That's amazing. Who would ever thought that we'd still be fighting this? It'd be a bigger variant. I think the NHL is gonna they talk about taxi squads where there's minor leaguers that can't go to play minor league, but they'll have to expand rosters for all sports if they're gonna get through the season. They're talking about maybe there'd be less fans. I hope not. The thing is about that is I hope they go back to realign the divisions and hockey and basketball. Well, basketball's more regional in the divisions, anyways. But for the NHL, you got to have all the Canadian teams play each other again, and have all the Eastern teams play each other, and the Midwest and the Western teams, etc. So you can limit the spread. That really worked last year. And they created more rivalry games. Yeah, it's disappointing not to get Bruins Maple Leafs or Bruins Canadians matchups, but I think it's you want to get through the season, man. It's just you don't want all these made up games and everything. And I think the NFL will get through the Super Bowl, okay? But the Super Bowl's in Los Angeles. If you got the Packers make it, Aaron Rodgers openly admits he's not vaccinated, so there's going to be so many restrictions in play that they may have to move the Super Bowl. I think the NFL will get through this year, even though they have a lot of people on reserve lists. Like the Saints tonight have 22 players on the reserve list, including all their quarterbacks. Jameis Winston's hurt, but all the other backups aren't eligible to play, so they had to sign someone off the practice squad. So they talking about testing lists. Some people don't want it. It's this whole situation's a mess right now. And Versace, are you back? Ooh, Sachi's still knocked back, folks. A lot of interesting 2022 wrestling upon us, which we've been talking about. Will the toughest man in the world, Tough Daddy, will he accept this tag team challenge whenever the hell that match will take place? If it does, find out on the next VSKPW. Uh, hmm, 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 hmm. Bah, 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 bah. Ooh yeah, ooh yeah. Versace, are you back yet? Ooh yeah. Ooh yeah. I hope you all had a great Christmas, folks. I know we all had at the VSW. I had a great Christmas, got some AirPods. Hope you all had a great Christmas despite all the COVID craziness we're talking about. Hope everyone had a great meal, great decorations, great time watching even Christmas movies if you're in the more laid back type. I had a blast. I hope you all did too. And the VSW last episode of the year, more coming to your way. We've been talking about, for those of you who are just tuning in now, we're talking about some of our favorite moments like we did last week about the indie scene. We talk about what happened with WWE and the decline, to how we became diehard fans to diehard indie fans. And you are back, Versace.
I am keeping up with the Versace stoner. I gotta keep up with myself on these trips that we do when we're not actually sitting together. And it's only just me, so I do a hit for myself. Then I do one for you that almost kills me. Then I do another one for myself. Whew. Boy, the one I did for you. Jesus. You'd be as high as you were in AEW right now.
Oh, yeah. But was it an edible, though?
Oh, yeah. But let me
8%.
talk, I got a little sidetracked too. I was out there. I ran into this expansion. Another thing we're going to do this year coming up is introduce more games. Now, as you know, I'm a gamer. I post some of my game clips to the YouTube. One game I play is Kerbal Space Program. I don't know if you know this disabled, but old Versace actually has a background in astronomy.
Really?
Yeah, I actually took some courses and know a thing or two. But I also played all the games, Grand Theft Auto, this and that, a few wrestling games, a few this and that, and then I've been playing some other games. And one of these games is a card game. It's a card based game, not a
Yu-Gi-Oh.
collectible card game though. Not a, you don't have to like buy a bunch of packs of cards. You just buy one box and it's the whole set. And it's called Book It. And it's a
Oh,
pro
I heard.
wrestling promoters
Oh,
card game. And basically, the sum of it is, you can play by yourself and try to like get the best shows you can do. You play against other people, and whoever has the best shows or the highest reputation wins. And you start off everybody with a roster of jobbers, people that are your home talent, and you're also given some money and a budget
like
and
I thought we had.
a pool of people, and you kind of pick up people
Wow.
to bring in for a show, and you match them up of how they would match, and you get points for each match, and you add it up, and it's kind of cool. And some of these wrestlers are like the independent scene today. Like you got this guy Buffy, who looks just like Effie.
Oh,
You know,
wow.
I mean, while they're not the real people, and none of these people are fictionists, they do use similarities to the real independent scene. Like Ted Babylon looks like Jericho does when he fights as a Painmaker.
Oh, wow.
And they have different things. It's gonna be a fun game. I think we should play. I know our friend Mashup plays it, and I think we should play it too live.
I
With
would
the
love to
video.
do that, Versace.
You know, with the video, and we can kind of get that going. Maybe Mashup will join us. A few other people, who knows, and kind of get a game of that going live because it is a fun kind of wrestling related game. Just something else to kind of add to next year's repertoire of what we're gonna do on the VSW podcast.
And plus, one of the things we are going to do, like we're talking right now about random wrestling, we are going to have an exclusive once a week, non sports, non wrestling, random pop culture topic podcast. It may even be about food, it may be about movies, maybe about music. We have to know what we're keeping up with the Versace Stoner once a week. How about that, Versace?
Oh, of course. I mean, you're a big Marvel fan and you like this and that. We should talk about all these fun things. Yeah, we'd be talking about the new Spider-Man movie right now and other.
And we'd be talking about Christmas movies last week.
Yes, we would have, and we will introduce all that next year, starting slowly, week by week.
Because we do want to increase our demographic. We want more than just indie wrestling fans and sports fans, you know?
We do. And that's I think is gonna be the trick.
And
um, sorry. Year
if
one.
they like our food review or our movie review, they're going to want to check out indie wrestling.
Well, year one, we kind of got people's attention to indie wrestling, and you drew sports fans into the indie scene, and kind
Yeah.
of decided now you're gonna kind of bring other um, pop culture into it too. I'm sure there's other wrestling fans that are into other pop culture movies. That is wrestling fans aren't just into wrestling only.
Some are sports fans, some are anime fans, some are movie buffs, you know?
Exactly. Exactly. So,
Like, I feel like Chaotic and Top Ropes got more of those, like, sports fans, but you got promotions like Beyond and Lab that's got more of those, like, anime fans, you know?
oh yeah, you do. I mean, you get a whole different fan base. I mean, depending on demographic where you live, what age group they're in, and like I said, there's so many. You got people that are into the figures. You got collectors like myself that collect for AEW figures, WWE figures, all that. People collecting DVDs and videos of wrestling. You got a lot of that. You got people that make figures now. I mean,
and
there's so much.
drawings.
Congratulations to our friend Todd Graham. He got on major what is it, Major Fed podcast.
Oh, that's awesome. The
Um,
Writer podcast.
yeah, they
Our
were talking
documentary
about
one.
his AG figure that he's producing next year.
That's so awesome. We got to
you
get our
know,
nose.
and it all started, I think, pretty much. It all started with an AG model that he wanted to make done before he had moved on. AG, or maybe when he was about to move on. I don't even know. Or maybe even way before that.
Because I think once guys are in WWE Versace, I don't think they can release those.
Well, no, you can't. Even if, but well, I don't know. See, it's weird because when they picked up Christian Casanova, IWTV was still selling Christian Casanova merch.
Oh, yeah.
And other people were still selling the merch when people left. But then, like people like AG stopped selling his personal merch as soon as he got picked up. He had sales. He closed his PWI store, PWT shirt. I mean shirts, the pro wrestling T store, and all of that went away. And then he opened it back up when he came back. But so I don't know what the rules and regulations are. Maybe it depends on the show. Maybe people do things behind the back. I don't know.
Maybe.
I do know this though. We've seen a lot of people come and go this year. A lot of people made it to AEW Dark.
Oh, big time. I think half of the New England scene has.
You know, but we've also seen a lot of like crazy shit kind of happen. We did see that MSP breakup. The trios breakup. We did see Becker get attacked ruthlessly by John Albert and his prestigious goons.
And
You
nearly
know,
died by Charles Mason before then.
we even saw BRG and Channing Thomas fighting each other in NCW.
With
We
Sean
saw that.
Elbow grow up.
We saw a lot of just craziness. What would you say would be the biggest shock of the year?
Big shock of the year. So many moments. I would say the big shock of the year is Mike Verna maybe going to the unit.
Okay. I forget what show that happened. It took place on. I don't
The
know if it was
reloaded
their
season.
summer show,
Yeah.
but that is a pretty big shock. Verna's a pretty big name now, not only just in the wrestling world, but also in the cream cheese world. He's been on a
But
few good
other
commercials.
shock moment, honorable mention. So obviously we talked about it a bunch of times as AG debuting against Daniel Garcia, but we kind of knew that was coming. But I'd say you weren't there for it. It's an underrated moment. It's Paris Van Dale turning on a Marnie Chaos last week, a few weeks ago at
That's
KO.
another big shock factor there. Those are two people that you would think are inseparable. They had their own like little handshake kind of thing going on. And for me, I don't know. I mean, I'm thinking of all the shock and awe that I've been in this year that I've seen happen. The turns, as Love Doug calls it, the heartbreaks.
Yeah,
You know, you had that Dirty Dango turn.
definitely. That was
That
amazing.
was maybe an honorable mention. I don't know. I mean, I was pretty shocked at that. Um, I
Maybe
mean,
seeing Becca align with Alec Price and beyond on
that was
Uncharted.
pretty shocking too.
Maybe JT Dunn coming and attacking Alec Price, making Price turn face.
No, I'm gonna say the number one shocking thing that happened though, and it really did kind of surprise the shit out of me because I didn't know who it was, and it really opened things up, and I believe it opened things up for him too. Speaking of JT Dunn, and that's gonna be at New England All Stars when Ted Goods beat Brian Pillman Jr. for that title. At the end of that, a hooded man came into the ring and attacked Ted Goods. Really attacked him hard and really knocking him out of
And
commission.
don't
And then
forget,
he
JT
pulled
Dunn never
back,
appeared
and
in any pandemic shows.
it was JT Dunn.
Yeah.
And
Appear in any pandemic shows.
what?
JT Dunn did not wrestle during the course of the pandemic when there were no crowds.
No, no, he really didn't. And we definitely New England All Stars hadn't even been back yet. So you know, I think that was a shock for me though. I wasn't expecting that whatsoever. And I mean, another honorable mention, I guess. I mean, it wasn't a shock for me so much as it was a shock for the main fans. Is AC Baby turning?
Like I knew that was gonna happen. That's because we watch Chaotic in NCW.
Yeah.
But for guys in Maine that just watch AEW and Limitless, of course they couldn't see that coming. We knew that was gonna happen.
No, because we just knew, we knew of the unit. A lot of them didn't. Believe it or not, when I crowdsourced and talked to people in the crowd a little bit, not a lot of them had watched Chaotic Wrestling. A lot of them were just Limitless fans. And, that's fine. You're living up in Maine, and that's just how it is. I get it. Unless you have Twitch and you're currently actually, watch it. But you would think, because a lot of these guys do, share the statuses of what they're doing, would be checking out that promotion. And like I said, it is just a, you know, Twitch subscription away, which you can get free with Amazon Prime if you have that.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
but also, the live stuff is free. That's just going back if you want to watch
Oh wow.
it. So, you have all this that can happen. And, Chaotic has been. I mean, it has been a very um, a shine through product for us. I don't think going into the year was something we were expecting to fall in love with. I didn't know how I think we were gonna react. We were gonna go back in the day, and things just got kind of hectic. We didn't get to the shows. Everything kind of happened with speaking out, and I'm not gonna get into all that. But then, the tapings came back, and you were very hesitant about going, to be honest.
No, I know.
I had tickets to the first show back. I couldn't actually make it, so I sold one of my tickets off to Zeke Dane. He ended up going. He was looking to go. The show was sold out. I held on to the other tickets, and that's one thing about Chase Del Monte. He's great. Is if you have tickets and they're unused, he's really good about honoring stuff. I find that amazing. It's because tickets do cost money, but not just that. It's just good business. But he honored it, and we he let me go to that next show, and I said, hey, well, why don't you come? You're not gonna be able to sit with me because I think I had like front row, but
Yeah.
Just grab a regular seat, it'll be okay.
It
And
was
you
a
were
good
like,
time,
I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. And then we went, and you were like, it was okay. You
but
weren't really too impressed. And
I just got fully vaxxed too, so.
you did, but you gotta remember, I mean, okay, so I get it. And I talked to other diehard fans. I would call them diehard fans of chaotic wrestling myself. I talked to a few of them, and they weren't really too happy with the tape that were wrestling. They didn't really like the small arenas, no fans kind of thing. Couldn't get into it. I get all that. Maybe that arena wasn't for you. It was kind of small. It
That's
was at
how
their
I felt. It was just, I felt out of place.
well, it was at their training facility,
Of
and
course.
and it was only set up. It was set up for tapings. It had only you know, I think two sides of the ring being displayed at a given time, or
Right.
I believe the way it was phasing, it wasn't all four. It wasn't like your normal all four show. So already you were at that advantage. I mean disadvantage. And okay, I get it. I get it. But you went through it and you were like, okay, we went through a chaotic show. We got through it. And I don't know. I don't really remember the next chaotic show we went to.
Kept getting sidetracked.
I know we didn't go to the first one back with that wasn't a taping. I
Yeah.
know I didn't go. I know we went before the summer, but I didn't go to the summer show because of my dad. But
And I had, I think, work and I had personal stuff with my mom, so I didn't get to go to that one.
yeah, and but I think we went before that again. I don't know if we went with Mashup. I don't know if we went to ourselves. But then starting in like I would say in October, that like Tewksbury show.
Went to a show in Lexington.
That was after that. The
Yeah.
first show was the Haunted show, and I believe it was Haunted in Tewksbury.
Yeah.
And Alec Price was actually announced for it, but he wasn't actually on it. And if you remember, I believe after that we kind of been pretty much at least one of us have been to every single chaotic show. I mean, you
It's probably
fall
going
in
to be
love with it.
that way for the near future, too, because they keep getting better and better.
You're falling in love with it, and
Because I
yeah.
watched a lot of old chaotic show. Some of it was really awesome. Some of it really wasn't.
But what was your problem with the old chaotic?
Like I like a bunch of guys, but it was the same guys in like the main event scene. But this current era with Chase is amazing. You have really good storylines from the bottom all the way up.
Yeah, I mean it is a different. It's obviously a
And more
different.
people are getting a shine too.
That's what it is. It's a different era of superstars, and with that, we are getting different people to shine. You're not. It's not the same domination. And me personally, I'm loving it. I'm loving what New England has to offer right now. I think it's filled with a lot of growing superstars that I honestly can't wait to see what happens with. You got a lot of guys doing a lot of different things, and they're all killing it.
I know. A lot to be proud of.
People that we used to see as small promotions are now, doing, big things.
Like Love Dug.
Look at Love Dog. I mean, he came a huge way. Look at Becca. She came a huge way. Um, Look at these people. They've all come in huge, huge ways.
like Ricky Smokes, Brad Cashew.
They're another, bunch of great superstars that are just really dominating the scene for me right now. Like I'm really excited to go and see them and see what they do. But not only that, just
You
let's
got
get on.
Mortar too.
He's another one. These guys have come a tremendously long way in the wrestling world,
Mhm.
and I feel like in a short period of time, during the pandemic.
I think I know those guys. A lot of those guys just love doing the shows. I love the shows too, but what got me into it and it got a lot of guys exposure was the Love Dug's a bright example of it. Is if it wasn't for the pandemic tapings, who knows where Love Dug would have been, you know?
Well, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I know a lot of people don't like taping. It's a pain in the ass to do.
Yeah,
I get it. Okay, you got to get everybody together. There's no fans. Low income. I mean, you got to take sponsors obviously if you well you're going to self-fund it. It's very little payoff. You don't get the fans live reactions. If you're not on IWTV, I mean, where you broadcasting this thing, NCW did YouTube. That worked out fine. But I mean, besides that, your options are limited of what you can do and what you can charge. I mean, they pretty much charge the most for an pay-per-view, and there were some people that I know that love NCW and just wouldn't watch it because they didn't want to pay it. And that's how it is. That's how it is anywhere in the industry with people. Uh,
oh, absolutely.
but with all that put aside, I mean, how can you not like the taped era of wrestling? I feel like it was the easiest way for promoters to get fans to know their product.
Exactly. And it was good for me with like the Road and Reloaded. Helped me got to know all these wrestlers and their move sets. So
Oh
I got
yeah, I
excited
mean,
live.
you got to meet you got to know all. I mean, like I said, coming into the year, you hardly knew anybody in any of these wrestlers.
I only knew like AJ Green to be honest with you, or JT Dunn.
A few of the people that we saw at Beyond prior to that, you knew. You obviously you knew the
MS.
AEW guys, but like I said, we will say it a million times. That please come back show really kind of opened up things and the possibilities of what we kind of saw for the VSW, and kind of even though the VSW hadn't existed yet, it gave us a basis of kind of where we wanted to go, what we wanted to work in, and what we wanted to do. And we kind of really got to know some of the talent in New England and who some of the better
And had
wrestlers.
there been no pandemic, we probably would have gone to a lot of these shows.
Oh yeah. Well, that's the thing, From that jump started a whole love of indie wrestling. We wanted to go to almost every Beyond show that we could get to. We went to BC Dub. We had a good time at that, and we were waiting to do more. We went to Evolve. It was a double header show. And then, pandemia struck and everything just went to hell. And, well, I mean, you know the rest. Everybody knows the rest of how it went. But, you
Exactly.
know, um,
Hopefully, hopefully we can get this thing under control so we don't have to worry about it.
well, I mean, that would be ideal. Um, because people are still worried and it does impact, how everybody does business. But, like I said, that was our first introduction kind of to the indie scene really hardcore was that BC Dub show. It got you into knowing some of the guys, not all of them. And at the beginning of the road, you hardly knew anybody. And by the end of the road, you were a pro. And that's the whole point I'm trying to make is, you really, your indie scene knowledge and everything flourished during a
Yeah.
taped, a
But
taping.
when we went to live events, I was hardly cheering. I was just going with the crowd. Like I was lost when I heard theme song. Now I'm starting those chants half the time.
Well, yeah, I mean, you definitely know who people are now. There's very few people that you don't know. And even the ones that you don't know, you're able to find how to you're able to find them.
Exactly. I'll look up stuff about them.
You know where to begin. Before we didn't really know even where to begin, and that's been the whole thing about us this year is the exploration. We've explored the indie wrestling scene. As we try to reach new heights, and what we're doing, it will be interesting to see, where it all takes us. Next year, with this year was our big thing was what we're gonna do with All Out, and that was our whole major plan. Next year, I'm not really sure. What our big show is gonna be, what we're gonna do big.
I'm gonna let our path decide for us this time.
I mean, I don't know. Are we gonna do All Out? Are we gonna do Chicago? Are we gonna do we say the hell with it and do Vegas? And do we do the double or nothing?
Yeah.
There's so many things that we can do that it's gonna be a show this year. Um, we have a lot of different momentum now than we ever had.
Oh, I know it. And there's a lot of different possibilities. We'll get to really cover the promotions we go to. We'll be able to cover it from top to bottom this time more structurally,
Oh
which I'm.
yeah, and that's the thing. We're gonna be able to do all of that this year.
I would
Coming
like to get
up,
to a top rope show this year for sure.
we'll do more top rope.
The
We'll do
problem
more
is the
top.
next show is the same night as Chaotic in Watertown, the
Oh
Friday.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
There's no way we're missing that Chaotic show for that.
No,
Fence a top rope or anything.
no way. But
We can't no show a show in our own hometown.
no way.
Obviously,
But
NCW, we're definitely going to go to a proving ground show.
we will. And we will continue to do what we did in this last year. Only just like I said, doing it better, doing it more articulate, doing a better job in how we incorporate our notes and our scoring systems and all of that will be
And
just
how to
much
use
more
each
better.
social media platform better. Pretty soon, we're going to be getting a link tree, folks.
And that will be easy for everyone to find us.
That way,
We've
we can
had we've had some
multitask.
side tracks this year. We're not going to go into that now. We've done that in other episodes, but I mean this year coming into it, we're not going to be as distracted.
No way. There's no way we're going to dedicate so much time. The fact that me and you can even do this like daily, consecutively, talking on the phone and everything, that shows you how much we come when we put the sidetrack aside.
Exactly. I mean, we can almost run shows every night now. We're at that comfortable level.
Before it was like we never scripted anything, but we always had to like prepare mentally or you felt lost.
Well, yeah, and that's how it was. And you know, I don't know. We've, like I said, we've definitely come a long way within this year, and the sky's the limit, really, of what's gonna take place for us.
Really, I hope we get more like offers to do stuff with others. Like I hope I'll let fate determine our path for Sachi, and I have a feeling we'll have good momentum, good offers this time around for our product and what we do. I got a few ideas too. I'm so excited for what next year's gonna bring us
Oh, I know.
because we
And
didn't know what our identity was coming into VSW. You know,
no, we had no idea. No idea. We had
but
no
I
idea.
felt
We
like
had no idea what was gonna happen with the VSW. If any of it was gonna work. I mean, we just went on a limb with a lot of it, and it happened to work. It happened to all pay off. You know, and that is what we will continue to do in this upcoming year. Is have it all pay off.
absolutely find more like topics to cover our wrestling and sports so much better than we are now. Not that we aren't doing it good, but you get my point. Get it so we can excite the town, excite the fans and the promoters, you know?
Well, yeah. Um, that's what we want to do. That's what we want to do, and I think we're gonna achieve our goals this year. Um, even more so, if we stay focused on the task at hand.
Absolutely.
You know,
But
um,
hopefully we get more people that want to be part of VSW, maybe going to shows when we can't make shows, filming, and they have to be dedicated. They can't be like I'm just gonna do one post and every 2 weeks or whatever, you know?
oh, I know. We gonna need people more dedicated to the VSWs. You know, cause, and I think it's gonna happen. Um, we've had like I said, we've made a lot of great strides and friendships in VSW this year. I mean,
That
as you
is
can see, the people that we did meet, um, you know, quickly grew to us. A lot of them helped us on our show. We met people like Panchu to come on. We had help from people like Mike C. Mock, and all these other great guys. And
mashup wrestling.
Mashup been a great help. He made us an awesome commercial, and he did his help with KP Dub and all of that. So I mean, you know, it it is it is something to be said for these friendships that we make along the way here at VSW. And it's like I said, and I couldn't have picked a better partner to do this with than you, Disabled. You have full of energy, you're full of ambition, you have the drive to keep this going.
I'll admit I'm not perfect, but
Nobody is. None of us are. I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. But at the end of the day, you know, you push yourself, and I push myself. We push past the anxiety, push past the fear. We've been on these 8-hour drives, to go and capture, independent wrestling that nobody else would be going out to do. Not for those kind of hours in a road. And maybe the wrestlers only. Some of these rides we were driving longer than the wrestlers. It was insane. And we did it, and then we got through it all.
Absolutely. He
So,
also actually recapped a lot of these promotions more than anyone else ever did.
we did. So, and that's another point of what the VSW's point is. We are here to help the independent scene grow. Plain and simple. Plain and simple.
Absolutely. And I think it's starting to work. It's a long term plan, but it'll start to work. Like one, say we do pop culture sports, and they'll have to look at our shorts for such.
Oh, for sure. And our shorts are doing great. Everything is doing great, really, honestly. Right now, I think everything is kind of thriving.
And I'm hoping to open more like AEW uses pillars and people that are motivational speakers talk about building assets. Trying to build more pillars and assets besides our YouTube for 2022. That's my goal.
Of course, and we will, update that website that we had this year. We launched. We didn't really get to update it much. We will, use that asset more.
And get a link tree is my first goal too.
Yep, that will be another, great asset to the VSW podcast. So we're gonna be doing all of this, coming soon this year, and I can't wait because I think it's just gonna help us grow. It's all gonna help us grow, and with us growing, it will help, the scene grow.
Of course. It's gonna help everyone like all these wrestlers that are hopefully can get these contracts with MLW, AEW, WWE. Maybe they'll look at us for references with their photos and clips of them. Maybe we can help them put it on their resume.
Oh, I know. Who knows what can happen? Anything can happen here. It's gonna be, it's quite phenomenal.
As long as the unit keeps us in chaotic, which I think they will. So
I think the unit is gonna have chaotic thrive. I think everybody's gonna thrive. The whole scene is thriving right now, and that's what wrestling's all about, thriving. While WWE, we talked earlier, might be in the low, the indie scene is not. It is thriving tremendously.
and AEW is doing pretty good, staying as on float.
Oh, AEW does great.
I'm excited for not only New Year's Smash, they're switching from TNT to TBS effective January 5th, and they're going to have the rematch of Brian Danielson versus Heyman out of Page for the championship because the first one ended in a 60-minute draw.
Wow, like that Willa Uter Daniel Garcia match we saw.
That's a can't miss. I wonder if they'll have a clean finish this time around.
They might. Who knows? Anything can happen in the world of professional wrestling. And that's what we came to saw this year. Anything can happen. Anything will happen, and we were prepared for it all. Um, you know, and again, like I said, I can't reiterate it. We've been on a wild ride. Another great thing we did this year and accomplished was cruising for a bruising. My God, was that fun traveling all over, talking to the independent superstars, all the way from Kansas to Canada.
Wait to do a sequel next year.
I can't wait to do a sequel to Cruising for a Bruising. That is something I've been wanting to do. I've been trying to get Starflight together for quite some time. It's just not taking off. I don't know what its issue. When Cruising for a Bruising happened, everybody was on board. Now I don't know. We've been having some issues getting some people, so we will see what happens. But it's something definitely that we're gonna strive for here this year coming up is to do another interview podcast pay per view style 5 6 hour show where people can tune in, listen to their favorite superstars, see some videos on them, see some maybe clips, have
And
some
you know
matches,
what? Got
whatever.
a bunch of clips now on people.
Exactly. We could make our own, we could probably now, if we were to do it, we could make our own highlight clips for these guys, videos. And, that's what we would do. And I think, honestly, it was a success, in my opinion, Cruising for a Bruise. And not only did we have a lot of fun doing it, you know, the superstars enjoyed it. The ones we brought on all thanked me, and they had a great time. We met tremendous people like Rodney Bays. We had guys like Tuck Daddy and TJ Tucker. We got to talk to, great VSW friends like Love Doug and Tony Spencer.
Little.
You
You
know,
also got to meet a Steel Panther too.
you got to meet a Steel Panther. You also got to meet a Boston Badass. And that's what it was like about. That's what it was about. And meeting these people, getting to know these people, talking to them, and getting the fans to know who they were and are. And that was the whole point of Cruising for a Bruise. And in my opinion, like I said, again, it was a success. People got in, people listened, people tuned in, and, they got to know some of these guys.
Absolutely, and it was real close between the Rodfather and the Mighty Bosch.
It really was. It got really close and down to it. If you notice that. And it was, though, in the end, the Rodfather who did pick up that W, but, had it have been the Bosch, he would be the Cruising for a Bruising champion right now.
Really could have. Really could have.
So, and who knows in a sequel who would take the victory.
Absolutely. I want a mix of all tiers too in this one. Next sequel, whether it's Starflight or Cruising for a Bruising 2.
Exactly. We'll mix the tears up. I know you're big into that. And, but we will definitely get on board that, and we'll start to, as the holidays start to wind down here, maybe we'll be have some more luck in, achieving that.
We definitely should be once the colder weather gets even more colder. People tend to stay in more, you know?
No, they definitely do. They definitely do. And like I said, we'll just have to wait and see how this does. But I mean, this will be the final VSW episode of the year. So congratulations, Abel. You made it through a year of
That's for some.
VSW.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
Happy New Year! I would like to wish everyone a merry belated Christmas. I hope Santa was good to you all. He was good to the Wolf. Got a Damian Harris jersey. Got AirPods. And I'm really excited to see. I'd like to thank everyone from Chaotic, Limitless, all the wrestlers, promoters we worked with, refs, everyone else. I would like to thank everyone from the bottom of my heart, especially you, the Versace Stoner. I couldn't have asked for a better co host and partner and friend. And I look forward to seeing what 2022 brings for all of us.
It's going to be a bright one, my friend. It is going to be a bright one. And I can't thank these guys enough. they really made the VSW podcast what it is today. The and that's the wrestlers. I mean, it's they put on the shows. They're the ones that do all this, and they do it all for the fans. And I can't I can't stress enough how much I appreciate the wrestlers, what they do, and the risks they take. Especially now, with the way the pandemic is, they still go out there and they fight. They still go out there and they give a great match, and it's really amazing. Um, and I've had a hell of a year, fun time doing all this, capturing it all, and really my main, joy has been putting their names out there and getting them known. And I will continue to do that, in 2022. That'll be still the number one focus of the VSW to get more eyes and ears on the New England pro wrestling independent scene. And, with that, I wish everybody a happy new year.
Happy New
Enjoy it
Year.
the way the Versace Stoner would. And keep checking out YouTube. I mean, we'll have fresh content every day. There'll still be shorts, video game episodes, whatever. Sometimes I've been moving the Twitch streams over there. So just check it out. There's a lot of stuff coming, and we will be back and better than ever next year.
Absolutely.
We'll
So
definitely
just
do a year opener. I don't know if we'll wait all the way until the chaotic show or preview show will be our first show. I'm not sure how it will go, but you can expect a VSW podcast in 2022. Thank you everyone for listening. Thank you everybody for listening all year round, no matter where you have listened, whether it's been YouTube, whether it's been, Spreaker, Apple, Amazon, wherever you listen to podcasts. This, I couldn't, the fan base has just really made everything possible. And all of our YouTube fan base, all of our Twitter fan base, Facebook, the wrestlers, everybody. It's been amazing. Thank you all, and have a good night. Versace Stoner out.